Okay, guys.
Hi, you guys. Dr. G here with Direct Care Physicians of Pittsburgh. I am so excited for tonight's dinner with a dietitian. You know, a lot of times as a lifestyle medicine doc, we're seeing patients coming in that are wanting to start fresh and start new with these New Year's resolutions. But the fact of the matter is that these lifestyle changes are applicable year round. And so I know tonight, Devon Kroesche from Case Specific Nutrition, who you guys have come to know and love through the Dinner with the Dietitian series, is going to teach you some helpful tips to make sustainable changes with these New Year's resolution that, they're not so new anymore as the months go on, right, Devon? But they're things that you can keep in your back pocket. So Devon from Case Specific Nutrition, who we refer a lot of our patients to because we trust them. She is the director of marketing over there too. So you'll see her very active on social media, educating the community. And take it away, Devon. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thanks so much, Dr. G. So yeah, it is the new year. We talk about New Year's resolutions a lot this time of year. I know my office as a dietitian is just booked weeks out. People are so ready and motivated to accomplish their goals in the new year. And I am so inspired by that always. But then there's also kind of this conflicting triteness around New Year's resolutions, right? There's kind of the anti-resolution movement saying they don't work. People give it up 3 weeks in. So what's the point? It's just an arbitrary date. And, while it is true, it's an arbitrary day, I do love the fresh new feeling of a new year. I love when people are feeling super motivated. I think that's a great time to start implementing some new habits that can hopefully then last you a lifetime. But there's a strategic way to do it. And then there's also some ways not to do it. So I call this New Year Healthier You, but it can also be called Why Your Resolutions Fail and then How to Make Them Actually Stick. So we'll get started. And I love, love, love that I'm able to work with an organization like Family Matters, because I know you guys care a lot about, the lifestyle aspect of health and wellness, when the unfortunate truth is that your docs can't spend an hour with you once a month necessarily all the time. And that's kind of where we appreciate that they can quarterback over to us so we can kind of be with you as this kind of accountability coach from month to month on a more regular basis. And so hopefully you're seeing some better numbers every time you go into the office. But we love to, just work back and forth together. We refer to Direct Care Pittsburgh a lot. We appreciate them reaching out to us as well. So just to dive in, many of you might know me already. We're a few months in here, but my name is Devon Kroesche. I am a registered dietitian at Case Specific Nutrition. It's a private practice, group private practice in the Pittsburgh area. Got locations all over the place. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But I kind of like to think of myself as your nutrition navigator for this series. So, at the end of the day, you are doing these things, you are making these changes. These are your goals to tackle and your victories to have. But I like to think of myself as a little Yoda that's following you along your way, giving you that support and advice that I can along the way. And I know that these changes are not easy, right? If it were so, then I wouldn't have a job. So I'm here to help you figure out how to navigate having a busy life, because you may set these goals and you may be consistent. And then guess what? Life happens. And how can we maintain a healthy lifestyle even when life gets busy, life gets challenging? There's definitely a way to get through it. And so that is my job, again, as your nutrition navigator, to help you navigate this busy life and achieve those health and wellness goals and actually enjoy the process, right? These are goals that are supposed to be ones that you can follow for life and ones that you can actually enjoy. It's not supposed to be some kind of crash diet or juice cleanse that you'll get to your goal weight and then can go back to your old habits. That's not how it works. I want you to find a healthy way to live that you can actually enjoy. So we're going to dive right in. I always like to start with a comic. If you've been watching so far, I hope someone out there is giggling besides me. But if you've watched Nathan Pyle, he does all these comics about these little aliens kind of making fun of people. And I think this is so funny, right? The alien's like, oh, I'm going to be a better human being. I'm going to be a better being. And he's like, when? He's like, oh, in a few days. Does this not kind of look like us the few days leading up to New Year's? We're kind of, the holidays have settled. We're kind of just on the couch, not really sure what day it is, eating lots of cookies, eating lots of cheese and crackers, and just I'm just going to make the most of it the few days leading up to New Year's, because then, it's game over. I'm going to be a healthier, better person. And, unfortunately, that's kind of what I, a few months ago, was trying to encourage my clients not to do, is remember that, of course, if you attended our last session, you remembered that We talked about how there are lots of social engagements, but it's totally possible to be engaging in healthy behaviors in between those events. Certainly enjoy them, have the cookie, have the slice of pie, have whatever your favorites are, but then try to make the rest of it in between kind of healthy and standard, so that you don't come to New Year's and just feeling like you need to go on some kind of crazy cleanse, right? That's not the goal here. So hopefully you did enjoy your holidays. Hopefully you had all of your favorites. Hopefully you got some rest, some recuperation, some times with friends and family. Hopefully you're well and ready to tackle these New Year's goals. Okay, so let's first talk about why resolutions so often fail. Again, I feel like there's almost this negative connotation. I ask a lot of my clients like, oh, do you have any New Year's resolutions? Do you do resolutions? And what I so often hear is, oh, they don't work. I don't do resolutions. When what I actually find out is deep down, they do have goals. They do have things they want to accomplish, but maybe they're a little bit embarrassed because of, the stigma around New Year's resolutions. Maybe they don't like to call it a resolution. Maybe they just want to call it something that they're trying to do. But regardless, we know that, people oftentimes will set resolutions and then they will fail. I've got some statistics on that right here. 41% of Americans make resolutions. That's almost half of us. That said, only 9% by the end of the year will say that they were successful in that resolution. So where is the rest of that? Where do the rest of that data go? Like, where are these people that are setting these resolutions and then kind of falling off? And what's making them do that? That's really what I want to dig into tonight, and how we can kind of prevent that. What are the most common goals? Well, this is probably no surprise to you. 59% of Americans say they want to exercise more in the new year. 54% say they want to eat healthier, and 48% resolve to lose weight. So obviously, healthy eating, lifestyle, exercise, weight loss, these are big goals that a lot of people out there are trying to tackle. And yet year after year, we see obesity, unfortunately, on the increase. We see those chronic diseases, diabetes and heart disease and hypertension, high cholesterol, all of these things that are kind of associated with, poor diet and exercise, poor exercise habits, maybe some overweight or obesity. So these are certainly valuable goals, right? They're going to help us become a better nation, become better individuals. But all that said, it's kind of scary to hear that 41% of us are making these resolutions. Only 9% would say that they're successful. All that said, I don't want you to say, okay, Devon, that's exactly why I don't make resolutions. They don't work. They can work just the same way a lot of diets fail. A lot of diets do work. And I don't want the statistic to kind of scare you into quitting. These resolutions can be successful if you actually implement some of the tips that we're going to talk about tonight. So the 4 major reasons I would say that resolutions most often fail. 1, you view it as a chore. No one likes chores. If you think about it as this obligation, I have to work out, I have to eat my veggies, I have to save, you're not going to want to do it, right? It's going to feel like this ball and chain around your ankle, and you're just going to be even less likely to follow through, right? Because no one likes being told what to do. We're adults. We get to do what we want with our time and our money and our days. But at the end of the day, let's try to think of something that feels less like a chore, right? Reason number 2 is we don't have a why. I hear that a lot of times when people come into my office and they say, Devon, I want to lose 30 pounds. And my first question is, why? And you'll be so surprised at how many people hadn't even really thought about it. Or maybe their reason, they do have a why, but it's sort of surface level, right? It's like, oh, well, I just want to, I just want to look good in the mirror. I just want to feel good in a bathing suit. And those are real, I respect those goals. I understand. I felt that way too. But at the end of the day, I try to get people to dig in a little bit deeper and say, it sounds like maybe you want to lose 30 pounds, but the real thing that you want at the root of this is you want to feel confident. And there's a way to feel confident really at any weight. And I think that most people can feel confident in the bodies that they're in and still work towards a healthier body, a healthier weight, and healthier habits. So again, it comes down to, it doesn't have a why. There was no real meaning behind that goal. It's just, maybe you read somewhere that drinking 8 glasses of water was a good goal. So you just made that a goal without really thinking about why. The third reason is it was too vague. You just heard those last resolutions I talked about, the most common ones. I want to exercise more. I want to eat healthier. I want to lose weight. Well, you want to exercise how much more? You want to eat healthier how? How are you going to do that? You want to lose weight. Well, how much weight? And again, why? We're keeping these really vague, and I want to get a little bit more specific here. The last reason is that you didn't have support. I talk about this a lot when I know the gyms get really crowded around this time of year. I know my regular gym goers are complaining about that a lot. But honestly, that lack of support that the newbies at the gym will feel is a huge reason why they don't stick with it. And that goes for eating as well at home. If you are living in a household that doesn't really support your healthy lifestyle, or you haven't really recruited the right people to be in your corner, it makes it just that less likely that you're going to follow through. So we're going to talk about, how we can kind of flip these on their head and make it possible to achieve these goals. Again, it seems like the odds are stacked against us, but in reality, that's not true. There is so much that we can do to really create goals and habits that can really stick and can support you all year long and not feel like a tremendous burden. Okay, so step one, we're going to flip all of these reasons why they don't work out on their head. So the first reason was you view it as a chore. So step one is we're going to make it fun, right? I know you might not believe me, veggies might not sound that fun, but I promise there are ways you can make everything fun. You can make anything into a game. If you're resolving to exercise more and you hate the treadmill, well, maybe trying to exercise by running on the treadmill or going to the gym is really just not something that you're going to stick with. And so we got to make it a little bit more realistic here. What kind of activities do you actually enjoy? Maybe you prefer, instead of, going and lifting weights on your own at the gym or running on the treadmill by yourself, maybe you prefer the social aspect of a workout class. Or maybe you like things that you don't necessarily think of as like exercise per se, but more of like a hobby, like roller skating, rock climbing, or just walking outside. I think walking is one of the most underrated aspects, or one of the most underrated forms of exercise. And I know Dr. G does walk with the doc, and I think that's super great way to get in those steps. So again, make it fun, make it something that you enjoy. If you're going to do walking, maybe listen to a new podcast. If you're going to be running on the treadmill, maybe find a Netflix show that you only watch while you are on the treadmill. I know we're talking about exercise a lot, but we can make nutrition fun too. So if you're trying to eat healthier, but you're not really sure how to make that fun, maybe you just don't like vegetables or something. Maybe, Friday night, date night with your spouse is cooking a healthy meal together and finding ways to make it delicious. There are definitely a lot of ways to, find good recipes online that can be healthy and also delicious, of course. Step two is find your why, right? The second reason most resolutions fail is because you don't have a why. You again, read something online that you should be meditating 10 minutes a day. You're not really sure why, but you're like, I want to do this. A goal without a reason has such a little chance of success, you guys. You have to find meaning in your goals, right? And keeping that meaning front of mind is what's going to keep you motivated even in the toughest of times. Because again, I said it before, but life happens, you get busy, you experience challenges. And so how can you keep this stuff going when it really feels like the odds are stacked against you? It's snowing outside and your kid has COVID, there are so many things that could happen. How can we really keep these healthy habits going even in the most challenging of times? Well, think about your why. A lot of times for my clients, it's they want to stay healthy for their grandkids, or maybe they want to stay healthy enough so that they can travel when they're older, or, maybe it's they want to run a marathon with their spouse. I don't know what it is, but having that deep down, that why, again, I talked about the weight loss thing, and a lot of times they come in and say they want to lose 30 pounds. And it comes down to they want to feel better about themselves and they want to feel confident and they want to be able to experience that self-love and, just feel good in their own skin. And when in reality, you can feel that way at any weight. And I try to work with my clients on any size on their body image and body positivity. Because of course, all of our bodies are valuable regardless of the size, but at the same time, if this is something that you feel like is going to increase your confidence, maybe it's being able to fit in the airport seat, or the seats in the airplane without having to buy 2 seats. I've heard that a lot. So having that deep down, that why, will really help you stay motivated and keep putting that effort in because you've got a reason, right? There's a deep down reason for why you're doing this thing in the first place. Step 3 is to make it SMART. And by SMART, I mean SMART. Of course, we want it to be a SMART goal, but SMART actually stands for something here. So we'll dig into that, right? So SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And so if we're talking about specific, right, a lot of times, again, you hear something like, I want to eat healthier, which is just way too vague. At the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at the end of the year, if you ask yourself, did I eat healthier? Well, maybe. I don't really know, right? So much time has gone by. How can you really determine what's healthy, what's not? Make your goal a little bit more specific, right? I like to say something along the lines of, I want to eat vegetables at least once per day. Why? Well, because maybe it'll help you lose weight. Maybe that will help you feel more confident. You find the why underneath that, but ultimately you need something that's very specific. The next one is measurable. So, maybe have a time limit for, what counts as, I want to exercise 5 times a week. Well, how long of a workout is considered a workout? Is it 5 minutes? Is it 10 minutes? Is it 15 minutes? How often are you going to do it? Are you going to do it, if you want to exercise more, are you going to do it once a week? Are you going to do it 3 times a week? Kind of visualizing how often you're going to be doing it, for how long, and maybe even like down to like which days and which times of the week, and putting that in your, your virtual calendar will make it a little bit more likely that it will actually happen, right? You're making it measurable. At the end of the week, you can say, yes, I worked out 30 minutes 3 times per week. That is a measurable goal. The third one is achievable, right? Is it achievable? We tend to make really lofty goals around this time of year, right? I want to run a marathon. I want to lose 50 pounds. Think about, what is actually achievable for you, especially in the short term. We live in an instant gratification society, and it is really easy to set high goals when you're feeling super motivated. And then when times get tough, it tends to go by the wayside. We feel like a failure, and failure leads to us giving up. And that's the last thing that I want for you. I want you to feel like you're actually accomplishing something, and you are. But in reality, the massive success that you're looking for, it doesn't come overnight, and it doesn't come from doing something dramatic. It comes from small little changes in your habits over time. Being a healthier person doesn't mean you have to run a marathon this year. It could just be that you walk 30 minutes once a day, or you add in a vegetable, or maybe you have more regular meal times, something achievable. For a lot of my clients, it's just walking 4,000 steps a day. Make it something achievable and track it over time, and then you can build on those goals. If it's been a month that you've been walking 4,000 steps a week, that's fantastic. It's time to increase that goal. But I don't want you to be looking at the top of the staircase. I want you to be focusing on taking the next step, something that is achievable for you. The next one is relevant, right? So I kind of talked about this earlier, but not having a why around your goal. So what actually do you want out of life? What is it that you want out of being a healthier person? For example, if you really feel like you need to lose weight, and you have a goal of maybe meditating, but there's no real connection to meditation and what you're trying to achieve in life. Obviously, there's great benefits of meditation. I'm not downing meditation at all. But if it's not super relevant to your actual goal, then maybe developing that habit just isn't the most relevant for you right now. So you want to think about that as well. Make it something. And then a dietitian or your doctor or any kind of strength coach can probably help you with that as well. Again, if you want to gain muscle, maybe you want to talk to a trainer about incorporating some weight training rather than, just running 60 minutes on the treadmill every day, right? Make it relevant. The last one is make it time bound. So by when do you hope to achieve this goal? Is it by the end of the year? Is it by the end of the month? Is it by the end of the decade? Is it in 5 years? What is it? How many times a week are you going to do this habit or work towards this goal? How many minutes a day do you want to spend practicing this habit? All of this is really important when it comes down to making it specific and measurable. They kind of all tie in together, right? If you're going to set a goal or try to develop a habit, make it time bound. Say, by the end of this year, I want to have walked 1,000 miles or something like that along those lines. Maybe I want to, by the end of this year, I want to say that I've worked out at least 3 times a week for 30 minutes every week. That's a time-bound goal. Making these goals specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound is going to make them, again, much more likely to actually happen. And then step number 4 is to find your cheerleaders. Now, they don't necessarily have to have the same goals as you. In fact, oftentimes they won't. Maybe they're similar. You have a friend that wants to get in shape as well. That would be a great cheerleader to have. But in reality, they don't need to have the same goals as you at all, or they don't even have to have goals at all. They can just be the people in your life who want you to succeed. They're the people that are in your corner. It's your friends and your loved ones that, at the end of the day, really all they care about is you being happy. Those are your cheerleaders. And then from there, once you identify those people, you have to tell them how to best support you. Your spouse may really, be supportive of your goal of eating healthier, but they may not know that them keeping chips in the cabinet or ice cream in the freezer is really not the best way to support you right now. So you need to ask them for their help and then tell them how they can best support you. And again, if these are important people in your life, I'm sure they're more than welcome to support you, but they might just need a little bit of guidance. And then having accountability through someone like a dietitian, personal trainer, even your doctor, it can be a really excellent way to have those cheerleaders that not only are there for your accountability, but also have the expert knowledge to know how to get you to those goals that you're looking for. So we talked about the 4 reasons why resolutions fail. You view it as a chore, you don't have a why, it is too vague, and you don't have any support. How do we flip that on its head? Well, step 1, you make it fun. Step 2, you find your why. Step 3, you try to make it smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And then lastly, you find your cheerleaders. Who are the people who are in your corner who want to support you? Tell them how they can best support you, and then, ask for their help along the way. And all of this said, I really just want to drive home the point that developing new habits and breaking old ones is a challenge. Again, if that weren't the case, I probably wouldn't have a job. But it's not impossible, right? It's possible. You see it out there. You see people achieve success. I always say that winners and losers have the same goals. So it really comes down to your day-to-day habits that make all the difference, right? Change, it takes time though. Again, we live in an instant gratification society. We expect everything we want overnight, and that's just not how it works. And so the best way that you can be on track towards your goals is to be consistent. Again, you're not going to be perfect, but if you can, eat a healthy meal 80% of the week, you're still on a great track. If you can exercise, even if you aim to exercise 5 days a week and you get 3 in, that is still progress. And so remember that it takes time, and you really need to be patient with yourself, because it's, especially when you're developing new habits, it's not easy. We have these mental grooves of our old habits that we're trying to break down, and it really does take some time. I often hear from my clients, how long does it take to develop a new habit? And what they really should be asking is, how many? How many times do I have to do this before it becomes a habit? Because it's really the repeated efforts of doing the same thing. You're building evidence into the person that you want to become. And so, you could do the same habit 3 times in 30 days or 300 times. It really depends on how often you are practicing these daily habits that are going to get you to your goals, that will determine how easy it becomes and how quickly. Again, when you have these setbacks, and they're going to happen, again, life happens, I want you to say to yourself that this is what it feels like to be new at something, and it will get easier. Again, what I hope is that when you're setting these goals now and setting these habits, setting them into motion, hopefully 3-6 months down the road, when you have a setback in life, it doesn't even derail you from your healthy habits, because they just became what you do. If you have a tough day, you still remember to brush your teeth. It's very possible that someday you can have a tough day and still remember go to the gym, because you don't even have to think about it. It's just automatically what you do. And in moments when you feel like giving up, I want you to remember your why. Deep down, why are you doing this? What is it all for? Give it some meaning, and then you will be so much more likely to stick with it. And set that why, whatever your why is, write it down somewhere where it can be visible, so that you can see it every day, especially in those hard moments. I know it could be particularly challenging. It's winter outside. No one wants to leave. No one feels super motivated. But remembering that why will definitely help carry you through. And I alluded to this earlier, but it's really easy, especially when you're setting these lofty goals, to be looking at the top of the staircase. Oh, I want to be 50 pounds lighter. oh, I want to be so much fitter. Oh, I want to be able to buy a house or plan for a wedding, whatever it is. It can feel really daunting at times when you're thinking about your ultimate goal. So once you set those off, like, lofty and high goals, and I want you to set those lofty goals because I believe in your success. Once you set those goals, I want you to break it down into smaller goals over time. Again, that's what a dietitian or a strength coach or someone like that can really help you with. Breaking them down into these mini goals over time can feel like just taking the first step of the staircase, right? Instead of looking at the top of the staircase, just want you to take the next step. And then you're going to realize that wasn't so hard, right? And then you can take the next step. These habits and these goals just build on each other. I want you to keep that in mind because, again, this is not easy, but you can do it. And I really love this quote just around this time of year. The bad news is that time flies. The good news is that you're the pilot, right? Time does fly by soon enough. Before you know it, it'll be 2023 again, but you get to decide how that year goes. Is this going to be your year? Is this going to be the year that you tackle those goals and you finally make yourself a priority? Or are you going to let this time fly by? And, if you're here and you're listening to this, my guess is that you are already in the pilot seat and you are on your way to your goals. So I wish you the best of luck. And I'm happy that you guys joined in today. Of course, I mentioned this earlier, a dietitian can be a great resource, especially this time of year when you're doing some goal setting. You need a little bit of accountability. So we have office locations. I practice out of the East Liberty office. I also counsel virtually, but we also have locations in the South Hills, in Plum, in Robinson, in the North Hills, and even all the way out in Altoona. So you can get in touch with a dietitian. All you have to do is email scheduling@casespecificnutrition.com. I know Family Matters Direct Care is super, super generous in referring to us a lot. I appreciate that. You can also give us a call. It's 412-593-2048, option 1. Again, I think a dietitian can be a super great resource around this year because there are a lot of crazy diet cleanses and detoxes out there that are kind of just not going to set you on the right path. So, well, that said, we also have a big social media presence, which I happen to also run, so I've got to plug it. We do YouTube videos on these same kind of topics, on nutrition specifically, but then just on mindset in general, which is, again, what I tend to also focus on, the bigger picture, right? Most of us know how to eat healthy. The question is how. So if you want to follow us there, it's on YouTube, it's Case Specific Nutrition. On Instagram, it's @Case Specific Nutrition. Facebook, same thing. We are super active. Again, that's my little baby at Case Specific is running all the social media. And the goal really there is to just give you some good content to kind of get you in between your appointments, just to kind of keep you motivated, keep you educated, and keep you coming back and focusing on those goals. So that is all I have for you tonight. Of course, if you have any questions, you're free to ask them. You're free to drop them in the chat box. If not, you can always contact me. My email is just Devon, DEVON, @casespecificnutrition.com. Also, of course, super active on social media. So it's @Devon the Dietitian. You can follow me there. I'm always happy to answer your questions, always happy to engage with you there too. So thank you again, Family Matters. I had the best time. I always enjoy these talks. And you can, of course, stay tuned next month. We'll be talking about something else.